Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 23rd meeting of the New London Planning Board. Just a quick reminder that we are recording, so this meeting will be available online later if you would care to watch. So, we are going to continue the public hearing for the lot line adjustment of the Gilman Trust on Davis Hill Road. I would like to know if the applicant has any new information that pertains to this matter. Okay. Given that, I don't plan to open the floor to additional public comment, given that we've had so much discussion on this already through several meetings. And like I said at the introducing this, we have to remind ourselves that it is a lot line adjustment and a cistern relocation in terms of its scope. I would like to go into the finding of facts that Adam has prepared, and also potential conditions that we talked about at our last meeting. And I also would like to add that it's my assessment that a proposal to limit the activities on the property beyond what the underlying zoning would do is not advisable. However, in the event a resident has a complaint regarding use of a property in violation of the town zoning ordinance, that complaint is properly directed to the selectman or their designee pursuant to Article 29 of the zoning ordinance for their review and decision on whether to issue a notice of violation and or file a lawsuit. It is not within the planning board's jurisdiction to prosecute violations of the town's zoning ordinance. In the event that an approved subdivision or site plan is violated, RSA 676:4-A provides the planning board the jurisdiction to hold a hearing and potentially revoke if there has been a violation of a plan or condition of a plan. I would also like to add that this is a great example of people taking an interest in the town. And I'd like to thank all of those who have participated in this process for taking part in your local government and for being patient with us as the planning board as we've worked through this. Adam, would you like to talk about finding of facts?
Okay, so I have prepared finding of facts and conditions based on the conditions discussed at the last planning board meeting and finding of facts based on the non-binding straw poll that was taken to give us a inclination as to where we're headed. These are draft at this point, so if people feel differently tonight than they did last week, we can change things, we can amend them, but it's our sort of starting point to jump off on, okay? So the finding of facts. The proposed lots all meet the minimum lot size, road frontage, and lake frontage required of the agricultural rural residential zone. Number 2, each of the proposed lots can support a driveway built to the New London driveway regulations. Number 3, the proposed cistern location satisfies the needs of the New London Fire Department. Number 4, the proposed location requires less area of disturbance than the approved location by 160 square feet. Number 5, the proposed location requires 1,757 square feet less impervious area compared to the originally approved location. Number 6, the proposed location requires the removal of fewer trees than the approved location. Number 7, the proposed area utilizes an existing curb cut that is to be modified to accommodate the cistern access. Number 8, the proposed cistern location includes greater screening of the cistern pipes by the stone wall in the amount of 1 foot 11 inches. Do you want me to stop there and go over any of those, or do you want me to continue through conditions?
Are there any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Sorry, let me get back in my notes. Okay. So condition number 1. So just to recap, these first 2 conditions are carried from the 2022 proposal. So the cistern standpipes must be 2022. Cistern standpipes must be painted green with red caps. Number 2, the bollards at the cistern should be made of natural stone or boulders. Number 3, the installation of the cistern must be completed within 1 year of this decision, and the site must be immediately stabilized with mulch following the installation, and the planting plan must be implemented within 1 year of the installation. Number 4, the area of disturbance plan is part of this application. Number 5, within 1 year of this approval, the replacement of the culvert under Davis Hill Road must be completed. Number 6, the stone wall height along Davis Hill Road must be maintained at a minimum of 36 inches from grade. Number 7, if private events are held on site, special events permits must be applied for per New London zoning ordinance. One clarification that I do want to provide, having gone back to read that section of the zoning ordinance. I'm sorry, I should have had my book on the page to start. Okay. So, temporary events such as grand openings, dedications, graduations, and other similar activities, shall be allowed in all zone districts, subject to the conditions outlined below. And then it says, gatherings, parties, and weddings at private residences are specifically excluded from this regulation and are permitted activities. And then it goes through the events shall be permitted to run on consecutive days up to a maximum of 3 days, event parking and things really applying to like the Hubert's tent sale and things of that nature kind of thing. I will say it has been the standard practice that when people are having anniversary parties or their kids' graduation parties or family weddings at their house, that they do fill out the special event permit that we have, because they want to make sure that if they need a detailed police officer or whatever, accommodations need to be made, that has been made. Most of the time, if someone is hosting their child's wedding, they're getting a insurance rider for the alcohol and things that they are serving, and their insurance company requires us to fill it out because oftentimes they required the detail officer. So I did want to clarify from the last meeting. And that's the last proposed condition.
Thanks, Adam. Are there questions or comments from the board on the proposed conditions?
We should establish voting members.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should have done that. I guess we need, who else here?
So we have.
Oh, yeah, because Joe may not
So
go.
let's start with. Give us a second while we just make sure we have those voting members down on before we get to. Marianne, do you plan to?
I don't know about the case.
Okay. Okay. So with Marianne's abstention, for Emily to be appointed to vote and.
Yep. Yep. Do you mind, Emily? Thanks.
Can I make a citizen's comment here?
Sure. Yeah, we're working through this.
You asked the applicants if they anything new would transpire.
Can you come up to the mic just so we can hear the audio? Yeah, and just if you can state your name as well, just for the record.
Bruce Cerullo, 268
Thanks.
Palace Road. You asked the applicants if they had any new information or anything, and you didn't ask. I just drove 2 hours from Boston to be here to listen to, so, and why don't these folks have a chance to say anything else? Why are we just fast gaveling this? Why isn't there any more public comment?
So our sense is that we've gone through a lot of this in the last few
I
meetings.
understand what your sense is, but you didn't ask the folks that came prepared to talk tonight if they could speak up. That's what I'm just, and maybe that's just the way it is, and I'll go sit down and we'll go to Plan B. But I'm just curious as why wouldn't we have a chance to be asked to speak?
Is there?
when you
I
ask?
guess I would ask: is there something new that pertains?
I don't know. You didn't ask them. I don't know. I don't have a lawyer. I'm just a neighbor.
Right. Okay. So I think we've been in communication with their lawyer, but I can ask you now: is there something new that has not come up in prior discussions?
Caroline Leonard for the various abutters. I won't list them
Thank you.
again. I was planning to speak tonight, but I understand if the chair has indicated that you want to close public comment, I was going to iterate our client's concerns and relist all of the conditions we were seeking. But if you feel you have an adequate record based on our prior presentations, I obviously defer to the chair's prerogative as far
Yeah,
as
I mean,
procedure.
I think we capture them, but did you hear anything in that discussion that felt like we were missing?
If I could just reach
Yeah,
my list really fast.
absolutely, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't hear any discussion of the borings. I know we hit on that last time as a condition of approval, and I recognize that the applicants objected to that as a condition. I had come proposing, and as an alternate condition, that perhaps the board should require as a condition of approval that the applicant install the cistern location below grade, simply to ensure that the renderings that were circulated to this board and to the public are actually what ends up being built, simply to ensure that below the stone wall, we're concerned if we hit ledge, that may result in a mound, and that would be unsightly and not in keeping with the scenic nature of Davis Hill.
Right.
That wasn't something that we had addressed last time, so I did want to mention that.
And forgive me, I thought for some reason that I thought the applicant had said if they did hit ledge that it would be dealt with. Is that, Jeremy's nodding his head, so do you want to speak to that briefly, Jeremy, just to clarify that there wouldn't be a mound? Well, go ahead, I mean, if you don't mind, just doing this one thing, because it seems like, I apologize for that.
Jeremy Bonin. So the application has a bottom of cistern set because it's dictated by the connection point for the fire department. So even if ledge is hit, the cistern can't be any higher. It has to be at the precise location that's basically put before the board. So that it won't be. So in either location, ledge would have to be taken out.
That was my recollection. Thank you.
Thank you, we just wanted that assurance.
Yep,
on the
understand.
record. Sorry, bear with me.
Yeah, please.
You guys ran pretty quickly. You talked about the timeline for tree plantings. You talked about area of disturbance. You talked about the timeline for replacing the culvert. Just for clarity purposes, are we speaking about the culvert across from the Vose property? Is that one, Adam? Yes, thank you. We talked about stone wall height. Talked about cistern installation timeline. Okay. This was something that we hadn't really fleshed out at the last meeting, and I was hoping we could address this evening. The land bridge that's depicted on the driveway to lot 6-3, I know we talked about it, I think 2 meetings ago, Adam, if my memory is correct. We wanted to make sure that the approvals are properly obtained for that, and I couldn't quite follow the conversation from 2 meetings ago as far as, was that driveway actually being put in, obtained at this juncture, or maybe Jeremy could speak to that? We weren't clear on that, and I
Sure.
wanted to make sure we understood that.
Yep, so any driveway ever on a subdivision plat is on an approval of the driveway. There's a separate driveway permit application process. The requirement is that you show that one is feasible. Now, you don't have to be able to get a driveway to every corner of your property. So conceivably, there is, I think it was like 1,200 feet before that bridge is installed, and the driveway is designed to that point at a minimum to allow for access into where there is a home site and an area for a septic. So at this point, that would satisfy the demonstration that a driveway can be installed on the property that meets the regulations. Whether or not a fully engineered bridge to go around the steep slopes does, I mean, I don't think we, I don't think we necessarily have to analyze that at this point because it's not being requested at this point. We don't have a driveway application for it. And two, we don't know what the driveway regulations could look like then. Their engineer stated at that meeting that it that it met our application standards, but they have not actually applied for it.
Okay, so, but the driveway permitting is not currently before the board?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
nope, that is handled administratively with the road
Yeah.
agent.
Okay. We talked about the special event permits, and I heard the chair as far as your note about the zoning aspect. I wanted to clarify that. We were specifically asking for express prohibitions from commercial activities only permitted in the commercial zones. I think that got lost a little bit, but to your point, Chair Parity, if we're in line with everybody's going to follow the existing regulations under the ARR zone, unless certain procedures are followed, I think we're okay with that. I did want to make sure that the board took note, and I mentioned this in my presentation last time, as far as the DES plan submitted on February 1st, 2023. This was the part where we were talking about the changing house, an ADA accessible ramp to the art studio, this large patio surrounding the art studio, parking next to the boathouse, proposed septic tank, proposed 300 GPD subsurface septic system. I know that's not pending. It does go to the concern with the zoning, and I'll leave it at that. I did have a statement from the Bross family who apologized, but they couldn't make it tonight. If I could please leave that with you guys, if that's all right.
Of course.
I didn't bring all my pieces with me. Could you give me 2 seconds? I'll give everybody a chance to read this. It's a little lengthy, so I don't know if you want it read into the record, if you feel that's important.
Yeah, no, we don't need to read it in for the record, but just allow me a minute to look through this.
Sure,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks.
Is there anything new in here that has not been discussed yet? Or is this a summary of some of the things, of all of the things that have happened? How would you characterize this?
I would say it's a mix. I think some aspects of it are to underscore the points we've already presented to the board. These aren't my words, I was just asked to relay it to the board. I think some pieces of this are perhaps framed a little bit differently than I may have framed them. So it's just a little bit of a different color. Most importantly, and I know we hit this last meeting, the distance between the proposed cistern location and the structures across the street are the shortest in front of the Bross family residence. It's about 40 feet between the cistern site and across the street to the next structure. And they would be the most affected. So I think they felt it worthwhile to prepare the statement and make sure that the board had adequate time to digest it.
And so, does it contain anything new that has not been discussed or presented before?
I think there are aspects that I haven't necessarily framed for the board. So I would urge you to, if you could, take a minute. Thank you.
And I don't know if this is helpful for people, but on page 4, there is a sort of more abbreviated summary of the asks. I don't know if that maybe helps to sort of focus when.
Oh, no, no. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I ask you a short question?
Please.
If there was no cistern as an issue, would they still be objecting to the lot line adjustments?
Can you say that again?
Take the cistern out of the equation,
Yep.
would they still be objecting to the lot line adjustments?
Yes, from the standpoint of the use. That's why we were asking for the condition that the property be used in uses that are not listed in the commercial uses permitted under the commercial zoning.
Okay, because, I think as an individual family person, if somebody wanted to put the fire hydrant in front of my house, I would be happy about that, rather than having it whatever far away down the road, just because I'd like to know that the fire department could get to the fire hydrant first to my house without having to delay in time.
I appreciate that. Any questions?
Maybe you could help me. I'm confused reading this objection to the driveway. I don't understand what, maybe it's page 2.
Page 2. So I'll do my best to answer questions. I didn't prepare this, so I'll try.
Are they your client? Are they your clients?
Yes. What's your question? I'm sorry, sir.
I don't understand what it is they're objecting to about is it about the bridge? Are they assuming that the driveway's been approved in some way other than?
I think that was the concern, that if by approving the proposed lot line adjustment this evening, that would ratify the driveway as proposed. I think that was the concern, is that the land bridge, et cetera, would be built into this approval. Does that answer your question?
I was trying to figure out if that's what they were saying.
I think that's what the intent is there.
And just to sort of maybe add a little bit more clarity there, that if somebody were to propose a driveway that did not meet the driveway regulations, there is a waiver process that requires a public hearing of this board. It is slightly different than the needing a variance in the steep slopes for a use other than a driveway that goes to the zoning board of adjustment. In the case of a driveway, if come to find out they tried to get a driveway that did not meet the regulation, it would be here with you folks that we'd have another hearing. If the driveway required some variance that was in the zoning ordinance, which can happen for wetlands crossings or, some
Slope.
other component to it, that would find its way to the zoning board.
Mm-hmm.
So we could find ourselves, not necessarily with this, but in a scenario where we had a joint meeting with the ZBA to flesh out a non-compliance of waiver request of a driveway application and a variance with the same application.
If there aren't further questions on what I've presented thus far, I would like to afford my clients, just if there's anything else that anyone would like to add, that they have the opportunity to do so.
These people?
No, they're not here.
Okay.
Others who are here.
Others who are here.
The Bross family was unable to attend this evening. They're away.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would hope that we could keep it to new information, just
Yes,
because this,
understood.
has
Understood.
been discussed at length. But yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Do folks want me to review conditions again? Is that helpful, or?
Yeah, maybe just walk
not?
through them one more time, just
Okay.
because we all just read this as well.
Okay,
because I think some of what is expressed in here is covered.
okay. All right, so conditions from the top. Number 1, the cistern standpipes must be painted green with red caps. Number 2, the bollards at the cistern should be made of natural stone/boulders. Number 3, the installation of the cistern must be completed within 1 year of the decision, and the site must be immediately stabilized with mulch following the installation, and the planting plan must be implemented within 1 year of the installation. The area of disturbance plan is part of this application. Number 5, within 1 year of this approval, the replacement of the culvert under Davis Hill Road at the Vos property must be completed. Number 6, the stone wall height along Davis Hill Road will be maintained at a minimum of 36 inches from grade. Number 7, if private events are held on site, special event permits must be applied for per the New London zoning ordinance. Anything else?
Thank you.
that folks want? Okay.
Are there any comments from the board on that? Hearing that again? Yeah, Joe?
This is a question for Adam. Adam, for like when there's steep slope places, does the state have minimum driveway requirements in terms of building a driveway in that area? And do town regulations follow that?
There wouldn't be a state component to it. The only state permit I think that could be applicable in that scenario would be if it happened within 250 feet of the lake, then they might need shoreland permitting. But as far as the driveway permit goes, it's a town road, so then it would be a town permitting process.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe. Other questions or comments from the board? Okay, so I think it makes sense to go ahead and close the public hearing on this. And let's do a vote for that. Is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any abstaining? Okay. Okay, so then I was wondering if there's a motion from the board with, for approval with the conditions that Adam has outlined a couple times.
I move that we approve the application as submitted, subject to the 7 conditions that Adam set forth and based on the findings of facts that we've made.
Thanks, Paul. Is there any discussion from the board on that?
Second first.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we need a second on that. I apologize. Thanks, Paul. Meant to say, is there any discussion from the board on this? Okay. Hearing none, then, is there, it's been motioned and seconded, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? And I'm sorry, was that opposed, Emily? Okay. Any abstention? Mary Ann, you abstaining, right? Okay. One abstention, one opposed. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, so next up, we are Is there a representative from the Howell family here for our next item? They may not be here. Okay.
So though I would recommend that we continue the Howell item, I can start by giving you at least an overview of what the application is, and then we can or I'll wait a second just so that. Thanks.
Hearing on this before?
No.
I recognize the plan. This is not the AD.
Thank you very much for coming.
Sure. So I'll just give you the backstory on this, and then I will make sure to reach out to Mr. and Mrs. Howell and make sure that they are able to attend 2 weeks from tonight. Or actually, it's 3 weeks from tonight because of how the weeks fall. But anyways, so this is a property on Summit View that we were made aware of an existing accessory dwelling unit through an interested buyer who wanted to do their due diligence and have the documentation and backup. So the Howells have recognized that they need to go through the approval. Thankfully, the ADU, which has been rented to traveling nurses, it was designed in a manner that accommodates our ordinance, and they had gotten their septic designed and the approvals as they would need to accommodate the main house and the apartment. So I do think that most things are in place. I can show you the size of the unit. Somewhere I have, maybe. Sorry, I got sidetracked here with, wait. There we go. So these are some images. There's a separate driveway for the ADU that goes down. There's a barn that has a separate driveway, and the ADU is in a walkout lower level, so the residents of the ADU park around back at the barn, and then they go up so this is where it enters from the street at the very end, and then they go through this walkway, and then this is their door back in here, which I realize now is very hard to see. Back in here in the lower level. The entire ADU is 837 square feet. It is a single bedroom. It is in the basement of the primary unit. It has the parking and the septic required. I did talk to a couple of neighbors that reached out for questions, mostly because they already knew that there was an ADU there and they thought that this was an application for an additional ADU, and so just clarifying and understanding the situation. But otherwise, they've lived there with the renters and thought that it all worked well. So interesting feedback on ADUs, but I guess it's your choice whether you want to take action on this public hearing without the applicant being here with this overview. The house is on the market, and I think they are trying to move things along. I'm sorry that they're not here this evening. I don't think we have anything on our agenda, although technically I think the deadline's tomorrow. Oh, no, it was today, Jen. We didn't get anything by 4 o'clock today, did we? Well, no, for any applications for the next planning board meeting. Point being, we don't have to have another meeting if there's nothing on the agenda, if that entices you to.
Adam, is there somebody living in there now?
Joe, that is a good question as to whether or not they have a tenant at this very moment. He said that they rent to traveling nurses, so I took that to mean that there is a nurse that is occupying it, but I don't know that for certain. That would be a question that they would be better suited, but in typical situations, the answer would be no because they hadn't been built yet.
Okay, so this is all within our ordinance, yet they never asked to do it initially.
Correct.
So the only reason we would want to call them in is to yell at them? Is that basically what we're saying?
Sounds like a good reason.
I don't think that's worthwhile. or productive.
Yeah, if we can.
So I'm okay with this.
And I will put it on the record, too, that they were very good to work with. You know, enforcement is not always the easiest part of the job. And,
Right.
There's not a fine attached to this, is there?
typically, we charge them $100 after the fact. I can't tell you, honestly, off the top of my head if we did for that. I'll check tomorrow. But typically, when you come in for a permit after the fact, it's an extra $100. So I'm assuming I didn't bring the packet, and we don't put their checks and stuff on the website. But yes, it's usually $100.
Adam, just a question, two questions. The first, in this situation, the notice that goes out to the neighbors, does it say that it's a pre-existing one that's, okay?
We haven't, and we wrestled with this a bit in a past site plan review that I think you probably all can remember from the fall. That was really the result of zoning enforcement, and we had long discussions internally that really felt like we can we can sort of make sure everyone understands that in a meeting, but we don't necessarily need it to be categorized that way in the town, in the ad in the paper, and that to encourage people to come into compliance, we want to make sure that we are being as gentle and sort of approachable as we can be without shaming. But
The second question I have, I'm concerned because they're selling the property and getting this approval, and we have a problem, or we have a section of our statute that requires a person to be a resident. And I guess I'm concerned that a buyer now seeing the approval might assume.
yeah, I mean,
I don't know what you do about that.
sure. I think the buyer who was interested is maybe this changes things if they have their approvals. I don't know the people, but they had walked away. But I think we could put some clarifying language in the notice of decision. And also, Chief Lyon had requested a condition of inspection because they haven't been in there. So I think that's a good point, Paul. I mean, obviously, who knows if they actually will sell their house or not. It's been on the market a while, and they could end up being the property owner and occupant for years to
that's
come.
fine.
But
Just,
Yep.
It's
No, I
not
understand.
just about this one. It's
Right.
You know.
Yep. I mean, this could end up in the same situation as, ironically, the last ADU that we went through the enforcement process of approval. This very thing happened, and the next buyer was not. And so after we spent, I mean, that was the one that we had him in front of us for, 9 months?
I wasn't here then.
And then the second it got approval, the people closed and found out that they couldn't live there. So I think that's a good point, that if that had been on the notice of decision, then perhaps those people would have, known that before. So I think we can certainly add that in as a part of the finding of fact, and that goes on the notice of decision. So let me go through that right here. So I have the finding of facts as the square footage is below 1,000 square feet, the ADU is 1 bedroom, the ADU is attached to the primary unit, and the septic is designed to accommodate the primary unit and the ADU. And number 5, I will say the property owner resides at the premises because they can occupy either as required by the NL zoning ordinance. And then it will be right on their notice of decision. That goes in their property file. They'll get a copy, and I would assume they'll be adding it to the disclosures packet.
I'm not sure you should say it. What's the word in the statute? I don't think it's resign. I think it's is a resident.
Can you just use your microphone?
We're looking at the proper word from the,
Question was on if the word reside is the right word to use here.
One of the dwellings shall be the domicile of the property owner, so we can say. He wasn't a past life. So we can say the property is the domicile of the owner. As required by the NLZO. Okay.
And you wanted to add 6, that the fire.
Condition, yep. Thank you, Janet. And then the condition be that the New London Fire Department conduct a site visit and inspection. Okay. For the benefit of the recording, because the video does not show that there's nobody in the audience, you probably should at least ask for it.
Yes, that is good. I forgot the video didn't show that, so I was going to say we don't actually need any public comment on this as there's no one here, but just let it be known that there is no one here. Okay, so do we need to review? I guess we went through those enough, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, so any discussion from the board on this? And you heard the conditions? Is there, someone have a motion to approve based on including these conditions of how many are there?
6.
5 conditions, or 5 finding of facts, 1 condition.
Yeah, sorry, that's right. 5, the finding of facts was 5, and then the 1 condition, do you want to go,
Yep.
just read that one more time?
The condition?
Yep.
Yep. The New London Fire Department will conduct a site visit and inspection.
Great, okay, thank you.
I move we approve with the 5 findings of fact and the condition.
Great, thanks Emily for seconding. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. Thank you.
And if you have Jeremy's cell phone number, text him because it was his birthday and I forgot to embarrass him when he was here.
I meant to say that too. I said it when I walked in, but then I forgot. Okay.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, technically, the next meeting is May 7th, which is also not right. It was the 14th. Jeez, I'm getting my zoning board. This is the second time this week that I've used a zoning board date for a planning board night. But so technically, May 14th is the next meeting. We will confirm that we don't have any applications and let you guys know if we don't need to meet that night. I do want to remind everyone that on May 1st at 7 o'clock, the Housing Commission will be hosting a I mean, technically it's a Housing Commission meeting, but the consultants that have been working with the Housing Commission will be coming to dive into some of the data that they've been working on. So they've been sort of manipulating our GIS, or our assessing data in GIS to filter for all sorts of things. And so Zach Brohinsky from Whitman, he and I have gone through and like taken all of the R2 properties and then whittled them down, and you take out everything that we know is conserved, that we know is town-owned land or school-owned land, or things that there's wetland, or things in the shoreland overlay district, and sort of whittled down all of these properties so that then you see what remains, and it sort of paints a picture in the R2, which is our bread and butter residential zone, and among many other things. But I think it would be great if you're able to attend. And I just want to confirm, I'm pretty sure it's in this room. Okay, because I think the selectmen have a meeting that same night, right? The first.
The first at what time?
Yeah, we're on Wednesday nights.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the selectmen will be
What the date is up there.
at 5:30 at the Professional Development Center so that we can get in here and get set up. And then we will be here at 7 o'clock with the Housing Commission. Peter wanted to start it a little bit later so that the sun would be lessening the light in here so that we can really see the screens. So I think it should be an interesting report out with the HOP grant money hopefully coming through. We're still working on that. Whitman Consulting will be really stepping up their work for the town. So this is sort of the starting jumping off point. So that's the update from me.
Okay, I got something.
Yes, Janet, please.
I have to know what is everyone's pleasure about serving on the board. Tim, your term is up now.
Yeah.
Do you wish to continue?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to answer for you before you could.
Also, Paul, your term is up. Do you wish to continue?
Yes.
Okay. We have to decide, do you want David Royals as an alternate? His term is up, and so we will contact him to make sure he wants to continue. But we need to, what is your pleasure about Katie? Katie Vedova is here through 2026, but obviously she's in Europe. So should we, contact her and say, what's the scoop here?
Yep, we can do that for sure.
We have had a couple of people apply to be part of the planning board, and I think, Tim, you and Adam should look at those applications and see what you think, and
Yep.
let the rest of us know. Adam can let us know. And we need a vice chairman. And I
Yes,
think,
we do need a vice chair. I thought of that the other day and forgot again.
Okay, I would recommend Paul Vance as our vice chairman.
That was would you do that?
Do I have to be secretary too?
Is that Paul that just ran out the door?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know there's not going to be a fight for this, so.
I did mean to ask you about that. So are you secretary now? You're secretary now?
Yes.
Okay. Paul's secretary now, so we can make that work.
Okay, and Tim, will you continue as chairman?
Yes,
Okay.
tragically.
And Paul's going to be vice chairman, is that right?
Yeah, he's secretary now, so we'll have to do a little
Okay,
finagling, but,
okay.
right? It doesn't say.
So anyway, if Katie doesn't want to be part of this and David doesn't want to be part of this, we will need at least another alternate. But other than that, we've got a full complement of people. Okay?
And Tim and I did meet with one of the prospective parties, and then Tim, we know the other prospective party, and Tim met with her, but the one that neither of us really knew seems very promising and has technical engineers, an engineer. So
be nice.
it seems like a good skill set. She is relatively new to town, but her husband's family has been here a long time, since they've been coming to town for many years, and are well acquainted with things. And she seems, incredibly sharp and interested in being on the board. So. And then the other interested party is fantastic and longtime resident, and
Okay.
so I think we've, it's not always as easy to find new people to fill positions in communities, so it is nice that New London has such eager volunteers.
For people who want to be chairman.
Right. Oh, that might be overstating it, but.
Or at least took the the bait.
Exactly.
Adam, could you go June, July, August, the dates that you came up with?
Yes. And I think your confusion was well merited, because I think I used a wrong date, and I meant to say that. Okay, let me have it here. Hold on. So what it should have been is June 18th, which is our typical second meeting of the. No, that's not right again. That didn't get fixed. Okay, that was the one that was wrong. Okay.
It's not June 18th?
No, I'm sorry. It's June 25th. And then. 1, 2, 3, 4. July 23rd. August 13th. Yep, perfect. Yep. Correct.
Yep.
Yep. Yep, so June, July will be on the 4th Tuesdays, and then August, the 1st Tuesday. So hopefully by doing it that way, we don't have any gap that is more than a month between meetings. Correct. So in June, July, 4th Tuesdays, August, 2nd Tuesday, and then we will resume the 2nd Tuesday of September.
Yeah, just to avoid Labor Day.
Yep. Yeah, and Labor Day, it's like really early this year, right?
The
Yeah,
second,
second.
yeah.
Is the second meeting in May the 28th?
Correct? Okay.
The 2nd May.
Yes. 14th and the 28th, potentially the 14th, but
Yeah,
certainly the 28th.
Does the 28th pose a scheduling conflict for anybody in May with Memorial Day, or everyone will be back if they have plans? Or
Just one.
okay.
It's going fast.
Yeah, the fact that Memorial Day is right. If we don't have to meet in 3 weeks, our next meeting will be the day after Memorial Day. It'll officially be summer, on the unofficial start of summer.
Right.
I had to leave.
Officially unofficial.
Yeah, today was great. Is there anything else from the board? Any other questions, concerns?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Lots of, Paul seconded, Mary Ann moved. Let's do that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?